What if you were born in Brazil? What would your fate depend on? You will face a minimum wage of 1,412 Brazilian reais, equaling exactly $250, while renting a simple room can easily eat up half of your income. You will see massive social contrasts, from extreme poverty in favelas to absolute luxury just one block away, and your entire life will be driven by the wildest national passion for football and carnival. This is Brazil, and this is a series of videos where we live an entire lifetime straight from birth to death across different countries. We're going to experience it all through the eyes of two average characters. Today, we will follow a guy from a tiny agricultural town and a girl from a bustling mass metropolis. How hard is it to find a well-paying job right after graduation? What does it actually cost for a single person to survive the month? How do couples navigate dating and relationships in a culture where looks and charisma are practically a national religion? And what happens when a country loves celebrating life more than sitting in an office? You will find out about all of this in just a few minutes. Brazil holds a massive population of over 215 million people. With an area of 8.5 million square kilometers, it is the 5th largest country globally. Your chance of being born here is roughly 2.8%. Brazil is the largest global coffee producer, holds the breathtaking Amazon rainforest, and possesses the highest planetary biodiversity. Now, let us return to our main heroes, who are facing two completely different destinies. Let us meet our boy Mateus. He lives in a very small town deep in the province of Minas Gerais. His family is fully working class. His father is an agricultural worker on a large coffee farm, and his mother is a local grocery cashier. And here is our girl Camila. She was born right in the concrete jungle of São Paulo. Her father drives a city bus, and her mother is a dental clinic receptionist. Mateus spends his childhood in a very modest brick house with a tiny yard where chickens run around. The comfort level is basic, often lacking air conditioning despite the heat. Camila lives in a cramped, noisy 2-bedroom apartment in a massive high-rise building surrounded by endless traffic. Children here usually go to daycare when they are around 3 or 4 years old. Public daycares are supposedly free, but massive waiting lists force many working parents to pay for cheap private nurseries. This costs roughly 600 reais, which is $110 a month, putting a huge strain on their tight family budgets. Kids like Camila and Mateus head to school at age 6. One huge difference in Brazil is the shift system. Due to severe overcrowding, schools operate in shifts, meaning you either go early in the morning from 7 a.m. to midday, or in the afternoon from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Preparing for the school year requires buying uniforms and supplies, costing families nearly 500 reais, representing $90 per child. The daily schedule includes about 5 lessons, followed by a long break. After school, Mateus just plays football barefoot in the dusty streets, while Camila takes an affordable local dance class. The ultimate nightmare for them is the final high school exam called the ENEM. It is an excruciatingly difficult 2-weekend-long marathon test. This exam heavily dictates your future because it is the main way to get into a free university. The pressure is insane, as public school students have to compete against incredibly wealthy kids who attended elite private schools. Do you think a single exam should decide a teenager's entire future? Tell me what you think, right in the comments. Military service is strictly mandatory for men turning 18. Mateus has to report for the draft. The service usually lasts for 10 to 12 months. However, there is a major catch. Since Brazil has a massive population and no major wars, the military has way more recruits than it actually needs. Therefore, they dismiss a huge portion of young men immediately and send them home. Women are not required to serve, so Camila skips this entirely, though they can volunteer. Here is the craziest paradox about higher education in Brazil. The absolute best universities are federal and completely free, but getting a budget spot is insanely hard because rich private school kids take all the spots. Mateus cannot pass the brutal NAM cutoff for a federal university, so he goes to an affordable private college locally studying business. His tuition is around 800 reais, which turns into $140 a month. Camila scores just enough to get into a state university for marketing in São Paulo. Her tuition is completely free, but her living expenses are brutal. She spends about 1,000 reais, effectively $180, on a shared room and cheap food. To survive, both characters must work part-time jobs during the day and take evening university classes from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. That is right, finishing lectures near midnight is totally normal for Brazilian students trying to make ends meet. Finding that first real job is a massive headache, often taking over 6 months. Camila finally lands a junior marketing role, while Mateus becomes a local sales representative. A typical starting salary is around 2,500 reais, equating to about $450 a month. The standard work schedule is 44 hours a week, usually meaning 8 hours on weekdays and a demanding half day on Saturday. Let us look at their finances. Camila wants to rent a tiny studio in São Paulo, which costs 1,500 reais, right around $270. After buying basic groceries and passing bus fares, she literally has nothing left. Mateus has cheaper rent in his small town, about 800 reais, or $140, allowing him to save a tiny bit for weekend barbecues. Have you ever spent your entire paycheck just on rent and food? Let me know in the comments. Brazilians are highly social, so finding love usually happens at lively parties, bars, or through mutual friends. Physical appearance, charisma, and a great sense of humor are the absolute top priorities when dating. Showing off your partner is extremely important here. Social media is always packed with romantic photos because jealousy and passion run very deep in the culture. The female population is slightly larger than the male one, especially in big urban centers. Couples date for quite a long time before getting married. The average marriage age is rising, now sitting around 30 for men and 28 for women. A simple wedding party can easily cost roughly 20,000 reais, reaching $3,600, so families usually chip in to help. Buying real estate is nearly impossible for youngsters, so newlyweds often rent for decades or just build a second floor right on top of their parents' house. When it comes to children, the average is now just under 2 kids per family. Maternity leave is pretty good, guaranteeing 120 days of paid time off. But for the fathers, the standard paternity leave is a shocking 5 days. That is barely enough time to learn how to hold a crying baby. Is 5 days fair, or should fathers get much more time? Write your opinion in the comments. After decades of exhausting work, retirement finally approaches. The official age is 65 for men and 62 for women. The public pension typically pays the standard minimum wage for most normal workers, which is that 1,412 reais, meaning just $250 a month. Surviving on this in a big city is practically impossible, so the elderly rely heavily on their children for financial support or keep doing informal gig jobs well into their 70s. We just witnessed a journey through deep passion, immense hard work, and vibrant joy. Which path would you rather take? The quieter, tight-knit community life of Mateus in the countryside? Or the chaotic, expensive, but opportunity-filled urban rush of Camila? Which life would you have lived?